All right, well, welcome all. This is a regular city council meeting of the city of San Juan Bautista. It is Tuesday, February 15th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Let's get this party started. Pledge of Allegiance. Council Member Edge, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Bring my little flag out.
Oh, the flag up.
I pledge allegiance
To the
to
flag
the flag of the United States of
Of
America,
America,
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and justice for
and
all.
justice for all. Thank you very much. Deputy City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please? Are we having technical difficulty, Trish? Roll call?
Looks like she can't hear you.
I can't, yes.
Everyone else can hear me, right? It is
Yeah.
San Juan, my internet is sketch, okay. And can you do the roll call for us, please?
Sure. Roll call. Mayor Jordan,
Present.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Present.
Councilmember Friels,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Here.
and Councilmember Edge.
Here,
It looks like Trish is signing in and signing back out, all accounted for, all present and accounted
she's
for.
back.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll do
Trish,
the
can
roll.
we hear you now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, this meeting will be conducted pursuant to Government Code Section 54953E1A. In order to minimize the spread of COVID-19 virus, the City Council is conducting this meeting by Zoom webinar and will be offering alternative options for public participation. You are encouraged to watch the meeting live or via Zoom. Zoom number is 812-9149-5461. Welcome all. Okay, appearing before us for the third time. We are to appoint a mayor and a vice mayor. Are there any nominations for mayor for the city of San Juan Bautista?
I'd like to nominate John Freeman.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Edge,
No,
Councilmember Flores,
No.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
No?
All members of the council being present, the motion stated by the maker does not pass. 2-3, 3 against, 2-4.
I'd like to make a motion that we retain the existing council as it is. We're already in the second in the year, so, 10 more months. That would give us some continuity for the city to retain whatever position you're in right now, whatever assignment you have.
Thank you very
That is my motion.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry,
I will
Mary.
second.
Thank you, sorry. I'm a little plugged up. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Edge,
Yes,
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
No.
Councilmember Freeman,
No.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes 3-2-0-0 with council members Friels and Freeman voting against. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is to appoint a vice mayor. And in continuing how we stand now, I would like to make a motion to retain Cesar Flores as the vice mayor.
And I'll second that.
Thank you very much.
The previous motion we just voted on already did that.
That's what I thought.
Well, I'm just making,
Being redundant.
I'm just making sure that we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Deputy City Clerk,
Right,
may I roll
Donna.
call vote, please?
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
No.
Councilmember Freeman,
no,
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes 3-2-0-0 with council members Friels and Edge voting, or Friels and Freeman voting against.
Thank you very much. Public comment. To make a public comment, call in at 1-669-900-6833. Please press *9 on your telephone keypad, or if joining by Zoom, use your raise your hand icon. And the webinar ID again is 812-9149-5461. When called to speak, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the council on matters not on this agenda. The law does not permit the council action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda, except under special circumstances. If council action is requested, the council may place the matter on future agenda, on a future agenda. Deputy City Clerk, do we have anyone wishing to comment on matters not on the agenda?
No, Mayor, I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. Consent items. All matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion authorizing actions indicated for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of a city council or staff or a citizen. Is there any public comment? To pull an item on the consent agenda? Please unmute yourself. Do you see any raised hands?
No, no.
Thank you very much.
Dogs are barking and everything.
Thank you. Are there any council members that wish to pull an item for comment? Council Member Edge?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
I have none.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
Yeah, I need to pull item B. I wasn't at the meeting, so I can't vote on that set of minutes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Councilmember Freeman?
no, nothing.
Thank you very much. And I am pulling item B. Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? A, C, E, F, G, and H.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We already had a discussion. Sorry, roll call, please.
All right, Councilmember Edge,
I have a question. Sorry. I wasn't at the 21st December meeting. Can I vote on the consent agenda?
To pull that item.
No, I was not present on the 21st of December.
Right, so you can't you don't want to vote on C.
Okay, so
Okay,
everything but C.
okay,
So yes,
thank you. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Councilmember Flores,
No, I have no.
We're voting on approval of the consent items.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes,
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes,
Mayor
Jordan.
Yes,
All right, all members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
thank you. And I pulled D just for conversation. Welcome back, Ramona and Credo. Very much looking forward to seeing what you create this year. I pulled it just because it was not signed for street closure by the fire marshal. And I am okay with passing it as long as we have a signed agreement from the fire marshal that he has looked at it and the lane closure is okay. The street closure is okay. Do we have any further discussion on that?
So Mayor, we can make that a condition of
Mute.
approval.
There we are.
Okay. Hey, Ramona, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you. And good to see you all again. I'm very excited. I may as well start video. It looks like, okay, there we are. One thing that does not appear on this application because I wasn't sure how to do it is that I do have a backup location that is on private property. And so I'm not really clear on if that goes through city council or what happens there. I prefer public property just because of access for the public, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Just
No,
wanted to, you know,
Yeah, no, I think the whole entire council is fine with having it go through. Yeah, I just wanted to
Right.
make sure that the fire marshal had an opportunity to look at it and sign off on it.
beautiful.
When we do packets for street closures, that's part of it.
Okay,
And we just didn't have that section.
right. I know. Thank
Councilmember
you for
Ed-
letting me in last second because I know it is last second, but you know, it's a sign of the times, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Love your work. Councilmember Edge?
I just have a question. What would cause you to go to a private property instead of the street closure?
Oh, that's only backup if for any reason this were not approved.
Oh, I see.
That would be
Okay.
the only reason, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, we're good. So as a stipulation, I'll approve it. Can we have a roll call, please, to approve item D with the stipulation?
Certainly. Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
yes,
Councilmember Freeman,
yes,
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you, Ramona. Looking forward to seeing your work again.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Just a little info. It's going to be a smaller one in that space. It'll be about half the size of the ones you've seen. And the theme will be rising from the ashes.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
Very cool. Ooh, chills.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and I'll take my leave, right? That we're good?
We're good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next item, presentations, proclamations, informational items, and reports. Proclamation for Black History Month in the city of San Juan Bautista. Whereas the city of San Juan Bautista recognizes and values diversity, equity, and inclusion within our community. And whereas the migration of African Americans to all parts of the United States and throughout the world have led to countless indelible contributions in the fields of science, medicine, law, social justice, athletics, the arts, government, and more. And whereas the presence of African Americans in our community continues to enhance the quality of life in the city of San Juan Bautista. And whereas the city of San Juan Bautista understands that African Americans have endured egregious discrimination and bigotry throughout the course of our nation's history, conflicting with the core values of the city of San Juan Bautista. And whereas Black History Month calls on our collective need to recognize and combat racism and to continue to build a community that embraces all ages, races, religion, and genders. And whereas Black History Month is American history, and whereas Black History Month is a time where all citizens are encouraged to reflect on past successes and challenges of Black communities, and to look to the future to ensure freedom, equity, and inclusiveness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that San Juan Bautista City Council do hereby proclaim February 20th, 2022 as Black History Month in the city of San Juan Bautista. Thank you very much. 5B, Regional Housing Needs Determination. Presentation by Mary Gilbert of San Benito County COG.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay.
We can, Mary. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for inviting us this evening. I have just a couple of PowerPoint slides I can pull up, if that's okay. I'm not sure how this works. I believe I should be able to share my screen. Okay, give me just 1 second. Sorry. Doesn't look like it's letting me pull up my slides, but I mean, I think I could probably just walk you through this without a visual, if that's okay, if you don't mind.
You're
hang on.
For that.
Hang on 1 second. Don, are we
Okay,
good
sure.
to go?
Thank you.
Yeah, she should be good to go. She's a co-host.
Go ahead, Mary. You should be able to share now.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, hang on just 1 second then. Yeah, it looks like it's not, and perhaps it's on my end. I'm not sure if I'm just not as savvy as I need to be, but I'm not sure that I can share my screen at this time. It doesn't look like it's letting, it's just not giving me that option.
I don't know why. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's, like I say, it might just be my, I don't usually, I guess, do that. If you'd like, I could just go ahead and I'll start, I'll walk you through the process. It really, it's not, I mean, it's just really just some talking points that we wanted to share with you. Or,
Yeah, sure,
my
go
name
ahead.
is Mary Gilbert. Okay, thank you. I'm the Executive Director for the Council of Governments, and we are the Regional Transportation Planning Agency for San Benito County. We are also responsible for a process called the Regional Housing Needs Assessment that is conducted every 8 years for our region. And the purpose of RHNA is to look at what housing needs are in the state. It's a state mandated process, and the state looks at different factors and makes a determination about our housing needs for the region. And then at that time, the Council of Governments, we get one number of units, of housing units that need to be planned for. And then the Council of Governments is responsible for distributing those units to the different planning agencies, one being the City of San Juan Bautista, and then also City of Hollister and San Benito County. So I was just here tonight to give you an update on where we are in the process. I know you received a presentation, I believe, back in December from Veronica Lozama of our staff at COG. And we, after that, time, we've brought a couple of items back to the Council of Governments Board of Directors. And the board, your representative to our board is Councilmember Edge. And she might want to maybe add some comments on the Board of Directors' feelings or thoughts on making a determination at this time. But we're revisiting the numbers that the state gave us and trying to work with them on some of the issues and the concerns that the Council of Governments Board has noted, which include concerns about our infrastructure needs and being able to support the housing that is being required by the state, required to be planned for. So it's not a mandate to actually build the housing, but the state gives us a number, and we have to each city and the county have to plan for the development of a certain number of housing units in different income levels to ensure that there's adequate housing statewide. But so that is kind of the summary where we are right now. We're looking at wrapping up the process in October of this year. So we're still, we were hoping to have adopted a plan, a more formal plan by the end of January. But because the COG board had some concerns about the numbers that we were given by the state, we are going back, like I said, and revisiting that. And so we'll be continuing the process through October, and we're looking into some different options that we may have at a state level, or with the state, excuse me. I'll stop there and let you ask any questions, because I know it's kind of a lot that I've just gone over.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment on this?
No, Mayor, there are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge? Questions, comments, concerns?
Well, just to add, or I guess I could wait until I do my report to make my comments, but thank you, Mary, for coming and presenting this evening. And, she kind of touched on what the COG board members are considering and going through. So I'll wait for my COG. When I give a report on COG, I'll wait until then.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores? Please unmute yourself.
No questions or comments. Just thanks for my presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman?
No real comments, just thank you, Mary, for the good report, and thank you.
Thanks. So there has been pushback from Hollister, the city of San Juan Bautista, and San Benito County on the numbers that were given by the state. Am I understanding that correct?
That's right. Yes. COG sent, so COG has representatives from each of those jurisdictions on our board of directors, and we did send a letter to the state telling them that we essentially objected to the determination that they had made and asking for them to make to review some of the work that they had done when they put that together. So we did receive a response. It's not, it's not really fully complete yet, but so we're going to probably have more questions for them as we move along, and we're meeting with them frequently and trying to resolve this issue.
Okay. Awesome.
And
thank you.
I
Very
will say too, thank you to your staff, Brian and Dawn as well, for working with us and attending. We've had meetings, and they're attending our meetings and helping us work through this from a local perspective. So thank you to them for doing that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having us here tonight.
Have a great night. Treasurer's report and monthly financial statements by our very own city treasurer, Michelle Sabathia. Michelle, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, council members. All right, so let's jump into our monthly brief overview. So for our general fund, year-to-date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of 280,000. The month-over-month change there was a decrease of 28,000. And we'll talk about that on the expenditure side. So on the expenditure side, specifically for December, a couple call outs would be the consultant side. So CSG Consultants was our normal monthly expense, but we did see that come in. So that was kind of driving some of the numbers. And CSG Consultants, again, is for our city engineer, city inspector. That's a monthly charge that we have. And right now there's no backdated billing. So that's a good item. For Mandel Municipal, that relates to our water rate study process. So that was another item that came through, interesting call out. And then Cypress Water, which relates to our monthly sewer operations. And then Bartle Wells and Associate, which relates to rate study for water and sewer. So as you can see, there's a lot of consulting services for our water that we're doing right now, which is one of our bigger projects. So that's one of the items that I wanted to point out. If we move down along with Water Enterprise Fund, year-to-date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of 185,000. The month-over-month change there was an increase of 15,000. So I mentioned last meeting that we were going to start seeing a spike in numbers going up, right? So there's some seasonality there. So we are starting to see that slightly come in, but I think starting in April, we'll start seeing a little bit more of a drastic change there. So that's a good thing. Revenues are still in line with budget, with what Wendy had pointed out, at about 47%. So that's still good. And on the expenditure side, I would say there's no material call outs to really point out. And then for the Sewer Enterprise Fund, I would say year-to-date, our net effect is currently a positive balance again of 210,000. The month-over-month change there was an increase of 60,000. And those revenues are running in line with budget at 54%. I would say that there was no big call outs here, but we did have a couple more dollars spent on the chemical side. So not big, but there was some funds spent there. And I think that's all I have for now, unless you guys have questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment?
No, Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? Councilmember Edge.
No, I don't have any questions for you, Michelle. Thank you very much. And as always, you've done a great job. So.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
No questions. Thank you, Michelle. Good job. Always very clear where everything's going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember, sorry, Councilmember Friels.
No questions. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman.
No questions. Once again, great report. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Have a great night.
Thank you.
City Manager's report. City Manager, you have the computer.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Got a few slides for you, of course. There we go. That's us. Well, we have spent a lot of time, as noted in the agenda tonight, working on a bit of reorganizing, all based on retirements. We mentioned the city clerk, and there's a discussion later tonight about succession for the city clerk elected position. Deputy city clerk is retiring after 17 years. The city attorney, Deb, is retiring. Robert Rathie is on the agenda tonight for appointment to replace her. City engineer, Julie Basad, is retiring from CSG, and Nidal Samhari has been working with us for the past 2 weeks to learn what Julie's been up to and step into her place. March 4th is her last day, so Nidal will become our city engineer on March 5th. Community development and the city are launching 3 major planning projects, and they're all centered around community engagement, and you're going to hear about some of this tonight. But I anticipate a lot of community engagement beginning in February. around sphere of influence, a specific plan called out by the grant, the SB2 grant, and the active transportation plan. So Brian will have more on that later in the agenda. But those are another big effort we've been pushing the last month. City Manager Department League Conference. We got a deal on this one. I bought one lunch and a cup of iced tea because the lodging was free. It was near my house, so that's great. Went to 2 sessions on fiscal resiliency and revenue enhancement. There were sessions on social media and combating disruption, reacting to disinformation, and a whole toolkit for civil discourse. And using City Hall as a center ground amidst polarization. I think we've done a fairly good job of stabilizing our social media presence, but this is a common issue throughout the state and throughout the country. Revenue Toolbox was another budgeting session I attended. Some of the top ways we can enhance our revenues is to have an accurate cost allocation plan. And that's easiest seen through our staffing. For example, my position is charged to, I think, 8 different departments and funds in the city. And so my costs are allocated to water and sewer and to other things. So we want to make sure and update our cost allocation plan every year. We want to review our development impact fees and make sure that they're current. We are starting a study on traffic impact fees locally here that'll help identify benefit areas. We are looking at special revenue finance districts. We are good at that. We have 2 community facility districts in Copperleaf and in Rancho Vista, and then the assessment district in Creek Bridge, Valley Vista. General and specific special taxes were talked a lot because if an organization wanted to put a ballot measure on for, say, a 1-cent sales tax, there's new laws apparently that reduce these general special taxes from a 66 majority vote to just 50% now. So that was something that the league wants us to be aware of. We're not considering that for our city, but I just throw that out as one of the tools. I'll require public engagement, budget workshops, et cetera. So we'll be talking about some of these issues in more detail as we move forward with our budget workshops. And of course, recently you've seen the city's effort to work on collecting bad debts. So, and that's been successful, I hope, so far. Also, furthermore, the chief economist from the Department of Finance spoke, and she talked about the state of the economy and how the state has justified its budget this year. You know, they talk about $45 billion in surplus revenue from the state, and half of that would go to schools and half of that would be left for local discretion. So I do have 2 letters drafted for Senator Caballero and Assemblymember Rivas that will go out this week, tomorrow, requesting a little assistance from that surplus, from the state's proposed projected surplus. She stated that the number of jobs had recovered, but they are paying less, which means that the equity in the haves and the have-nots is growing as a result of the recovery from the COVID emergency. The CPI has gone up at least 2%, which means that, and the housing has also gone up. So our property tax revenues have increased and shall stay increased unless there's a huge depression. Transit occupancy tax, the money we collect for hotel stays, has seen a 22% increase statewide, but it's still 19% lower than 2019. And as we've seen for ourselves, the sales tax is up 4%. And it's an interesting issue with the sales tax because the point of sale has been redefined so that when you buy something online from your house, that's then considered the point of sale. So AB 147 has created these Wayfair pools, and they've seen a 15% growth, and much of the city's sales tax now can come from these Wayfair pools, not just from the retail sales in your city. So that's just a quick review of some of the things that I got to learn about in Monterey a week ago. And thank you for sponsoring me and allowing me to attend that. Project updates. I'm ready to approve the chamber upgrades. I have 2 bids coming in at the end of the week. We've been working closely with 2 vendors. We sent it to 15 vendors, but only 2 responded. They're both very well experienced, and they're both working with IT in Hollister to make sure that our spec sheet matches our needs. So thank you to EJ Sabathia for getting that rolling for us. It's taking a while for these vendors to spec out the list and to find the products that they need in stock. It's a big deal when it comes to electronics right now. We are ready to bid the acoustic improvements to the community hall. I sent it to a national firm, Anderson Acoustics, and they've recommended some products that I'm going to put into an RFP so that we can get moving finally on the acoustics for the community hall. I don't foresee a huge overhaul to the building. I'm trying to come up with an acoustic solution that is attractive but effective. We're ready to present the joint use facility plan to the Aromas San Juan Unified School District Facilities Committee. Had a wonderful meeting Friday, a week ago Friday, with the superintendent, and we walked the site, and we came up with maybe 300 feet of chain link fencing that we have budgeted now that we could put up to allow access to the facility without allowing access to the buildings. That's the goal. We're recruiting a part-time maintenance worker to help us out on weekends with restrooms and trash cans, and can help with the school as well. So we're getting ready to bring that forward, and we're excited about that. The roundabout status is a common question we get at City Hall. I'm sure the council as well. We sent out a revised schedule last week, and we hope that it will be reopening by the end of March. If they can close the roundabout for one day to do the repaving and do it uniformly, then we can have the roundabout open sooner. If not, and depending on what the sheriff and fire department have to say and the school district, we would do the repaving during spring break, which is in April. So we are hoping to find a day when we can repave that in March to get the roundabout open sooner. So I wanted to share that status with you. The gas station, 156 right-hand turn lane are two projects working together, and they are making progress. I mentioned in a brief note to the council Friday, the transfer of ownership is complete. And we've talked to the attorney twice now about a reimbursement agreement, and we hope to get a final draft from them soon. It's been a couple weeks now. We are negotiating the impact fees so that they would get credit for the traffic impact fees for the money they spent on the right-hand turn lane. But this all would be subject to council approval. So I'm hoping by the next council meeting, we're able to bring the reimbursement agreement forward. So you'll understand what's going on. The plans are done. It's just a matter of paying the fees. So we need to resolve the fees as a way of bringing that agreement forward. Caltrans wrote last week, and they're 50% complete on their plan check, which is real progress. They've had it since last August. So I hope it doesn't take twice as long for them to finish. But I do hope the gas station will be breaking ground by this summer. Franklin Park, is underway. There was a little holdup. We had a conversation about whether or not to redo the curb around the park. It wasn't in the specifications. So we found it within our contingency to do that. And so now the demolition is occurring and the construction is underway. Rudy Park, the restroom spec was approved by Brian Fouch, our assistant city manager, to make sure that the design of the prefabricated restroom matched that of the planning commission's approval. So it's under construction now, being built now off-site. And a week or two before its arrival, we will begin to be doing grading and work at the site. We didn't want to tear up the site and wait for the restroom. So we're trying to keep that timing close together. I'm excited to share with you the status of Etheric. We've been in conversations in the past 10 days about a building permit for them and finding a local contractor to do some trenching and some cement work up at the tank so that they can begin to install their wireless facilities there. And so I expect that to begin within the next 2 weeks. And that would then quickly connect city facilities at 100 megabytes and plus make it open for general public subscriptions. That agreement was signed almost a year ago. So I'm glad that they finally got the parts that they needed in inventory and are ready to move forward. The downtown Wi-Fi would be firing up soon after that in 6 to 8 weeks. One thing that's happened since we talked about Etheric is what this can do for security cameras in the city. The public safety ad hoc committee has been talking about pricing and installing security cameras, and I'm putting together a request for qualifications for that. Now, with the Etheric system in place, we can go with wireless cameras, which really makes the system stronger and more robust. And that puts it on your phone so you can see 24/7. And we're also seeing assistance from the etheric system for what's known as a SCADA system, which is a system that helps our pump stations and lift stations and storage systems all communicate with each other automatically so that we can manage those facilities again on our phones rather than having to go to wells or go to the tank to see how full it is. It'll be great improvement there. So we look forward to Etheric finally coming on board. Wanted to share that with the council. For the Planning Commission, the approval of the 205 at the Alameda occurred at the commission meeting first week in February. And the sphere of influence study that's coming forward to you was also discussed with the commission. That's on tonight's agenda. Soon, we will have the orchard development coming. This is the parcel between both West Lang Street and East Lang Street. We have a hydrology study underway. We received a biological report today, and we hope that project will be coming forward to the commission April 2022. As proposed, it would be 20 single-family housing units. So that's some of the work that Brian's working on with the current planning. City clerk succession. Hey, that's the next item. I'm happy to answer any questions, Mayor, City Council.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment?
Mayor, I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? City Council Member Edge.
Actually, I don't have any questions. I already asked my questions earlier this afternoon, but I was talking to our city manager, Dawn, and I was, talking about how it would be nice to, oh, wait. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at my notes. Anyway, it would be nice to appoint somebody rather than have it go on the ballot. So, it'd be nice to get that changed. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Don.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores.
No comments, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
Just one on the gas on the turn lane. They won't break ground until the turn lane's completed. Am I correct?
They could break ground on the gas station prior to the turn lane because there may be some efficiency when they provide asphalt for the gas station that they use that same contractor to provide asphalt for the right-hand turn lane. But the condition is clear that they cannot open their doors for the gas station until the right-hand turn lane is finished.
Okay, and that's just all pinning on Caltrans again.
Right. The right-hand turn lane could be constructed quite a bit quicker than the gas station.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Yes, thank you. I had a question, Don, on the orchard. Says it's all single family homes, and we have a sparsity of multiple family homes of R2 and R3 and R4 developments. Has there been any thought of talking into getting a certain percentage to be multiple family dwellings, duplexes, townhomes, apartments and such for people who are just moving here, just starting their careers, just starting their lives, just young people in particular, and people maybe with not so much a great means to afford a $900,000 home. So I'm just wondering about, we're talking about equity and all those things, and yet here we are going to approve everything single R1 homes. It's not the way to get equity.
Right, and Brian may want to speak to this. Our inclusionary housing ordinance does apply for all developments over 6 units. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the general plan and zoning designations are R1. And that's what the applicant is proposing.
So that means we have no chance of getting low-income housing. Is that what that means?
Well, as Don said, you know, there are inclusionary housing requirements, so there will be a contribution there, either units or fee. But I think that most likely a fee. This is certainly not the only place that there will be residential development proposed. And to that end, we have on the agenda tonight the first step toward designating additional land for residential development as part of that community plan effort, which is a general plan level program.
Okay, I still disagree. I think personally, I think at least 30% of all homes we build should be for low income or moderate income people. And these days, moderate income people cannot afford an R1 home. They're going to start at $900,000. So there's your main contention point, the $900,000. How are people who work here in town or work out of town who might not have a professional degree, might not be an attorney or an architect or something like that, how are they going to afford a home? And so, you know, I asked myself that, and you know, and I know from personal experience it's tough. I emptied out a large part of my bank account to help one of my daughters buy a home in San Diego. So and they're a little hint, they're even more expensive down there.
But we are, and just to help a little bit, I think we do have a LEAP grant that is looking at the inclusionary housing ordinance. And there will be an opportunity to revisit that as part of that grant. And I think that's coming up. I've talked to our consultant about the schedule because we had a little bit of delay, but that is coming up for City Council review. Currently it's 20%. So that'll be a point of discussion, I'm sure. And that option for payment of a fee will be, and you know, previous subdivisions have been allowed to, you know, build ADUs to provide that. But I think you're talking about something different here. We're talking about affordable workforce or family housing, not something that a family would not be expected to be adequately housed in an accessory dwelling unit necessarily. So.
Well, I just think each subdivision that we let go by with letting them slide, and we've had both Copperleaf and Rancho Vista, and even Creek Bridge, they had in lieu fees for low income housing, and I don't think that helped any low income person get a house. It just helped the budget of San Juan, you know, which frankly needed it, but that's a different story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge.
If Scott wants to go first, you know, he can if he was ready, but I don't want to take his time up. But I have to agree with what John just said. And I'm wondering, will there be another opportunity for us to have input on these single family homes? Is there any opportunity to be able to say, this is what we want? I mean, because I have to agree, you know, building homes that are single family homes, they're always way too expensive. And like Creek Bridge, you know, they had the ADUs, but, you know, that didn't help any of our local people. We have to, and we must include affordable housing and other means for our local people to be able to purchase and stay here. It's just not right. So we have opportunity to have input. That's what I'm wondering.
Thank you. Don?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind the council that we did rezone a big piece of property on Muckalemme. And the whole purpose was to provide affordable housing on that site. We increased the housing density, and that's what I heard Brian say, that this parcel is being developed the way the land use and general plan determined single family should be developed. And then the inclusionary housing kicks in the affordable element. But the parcel on Muckalemme is much higher density, and in our housing element is designated for affordable housing. So we do look forward to that parcel coming forward in the shape of townhomes or other kind of affordable housing. So there are properties in the city. This just isn't one of them that's a candidate right now for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. So do these numbers, will they be a part of whatever numbers we get from our RENA designation?
Yes, market value is one of those numbers. We would have to, that's also a requirement, right?
Okay, so, okay, moving forward. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Reports from city council members. Council member Edge.
Yes. I just wanted to report on the RENA situation that we have with COG. All of the board members are concerned with the allocations that RENA has given us, the county, and we feel that the numbers are too high. And so, like Mary Gilbert said, we're working at trying to get those numbers down. And, we all have, concerns about, our area growing and the traffic that we've had to put up with all the homes that have been built recently, and our overcrowded schools, not to mention all of the emissions, all the gas emissions that are being brought into the area which we're supposed to be going green, and all the commuters that are going back and forth because there's no jobs here for them. So they're all commuting to the Bay Area. I mean, almost 50% of the people that live here and had bought here, they all work in other areas. And so anyway, that's something that, we're hoping that we can bring, the numbers down. And we're not the only ones that are looking at this. I mean, I think there's a lot of counties in the state of California that have done the same thing. We're just, concerned, and I mean, our roads and our streets are all impacted. The infrastructure, we can't keep up with all of it. So anyway, that's what's going on with RENA and COG. And we have a meeting on Thursday. And then the other thing that I'm involved in, the area on aging agency, is I am hoping and I am proposing that we have something, a forum for our local residents on bringing or looking to see if there's a need for a senior center here in San Juan Bautista. I have been approached by several seniors, and I feel that there could be a possibility. So what I'd like to do is maybe have a Zoom forum for our community, and have a web or a Zoom meeting through the city, where anybody that's interested can go online and sign up for a meeting that we can have. So I'll have to come up with a date, but it's something that I would like to work on. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores? Please unmute yourself.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I attended a couple of workshops. One was with the Arts Council, and they're working on, designing that mural project that's happening here in San Juan. And then the other one was presented by Veronica Lasama, the COG, and she went through all the design of, where everything is at the time, where the road's gonna be. There's a frontage road here. Learned a lot of stuff. It was really good. And then the other one was the LAFCO, weekly LAFCO, and I was appointed the vice chair. Now the vice chair of the LAFCO. And Bob, what? Oh gosh, what's his
Tiffany?
last name?
Bob Tiffany?
Tiffany,
Tiffany. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He's the chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Council Member Friels?
I didn't attend anything this last month. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Member Freeman?
Yes, last week I attended an AMBAG meeting. We went over our yearly budget, which isn't very interesting. They're doing well. And then we went into the presentation. AMBAG is going to be the lead agency for something called a Rural Regional Energy Network. And Don, listen up. This is where we can get some free money to do building upgrades for energy efficiency. What everyone who pays a PG&E bill, and that's everyone on this console and everyone listening to us, and even the city, there's a very small fee at the end of the bill that's community. I forget what the exact name of the fee is, but anyway, it goes into this fund. It used to be. I can remember a number of years ago when I used to go down to Best Buy or Home Depot and something, and I needed a new washing machine, and certain washers you got $50 rebate from the state, and that's where that money was coming from. But now they're pooling the money together for bigger projects or bigger things by local community agencies, school districts, water districts, cities, counties, things like that. So I'm going to suggest that we make good use of them, and whatever we can do, it can be as simple as upgrading to LED lighting, or it can be as complex as installing new heat pumps or air conditioners in systems, making energy efficient upgrades to buildings, windows, doors, etc. Anywhere where the cold air or hot air can get in or out. So they're going to be the lead agency. I know the person who's running it, Armory, and I'm going to suggest that we get some of that money from PG&E. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I attended several meetings. One was the monthly business forum. The parklets will be coming back to us in March for a possible extension. They will also be inspected as part of their annual review. We do have a couple of vacant buildings in town. Let's hope that the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee will help us with that. And the Papi Jasper Film Festival will be in San Juan Bautista in April on the 10th and the 11th, Sunday and Monday, showing some films. So that's going to be super exciting. Papi Jasper has featured San Juan in a lot of their work. So nice that they're actually bringing the film festival to us. It's also in Gilroy and Morgan Hill. So to bring it down to San Juan is going to be a good thing for the city. I attended a mayor's meeting this week, and it revolved around community safety. And these are big time cities that were talking, but some of the common themes were engaging public health and parks and rec, schools, social services, libraries, and the sheriff's department to all work with the city to find out how we can help those who are at risk of potentially going to jail. Stop. Sorry, my puppy is right here. San Benito County Water Advisory, nothing really to report there. Sean Novak's going to keep us updated on drought issues and where the state is going. The biggest thing that I took away from San Benito County Business Council was Valerie Eglin spoke about a bike path from Anzar to San Juan Bautista, the other way around, and a couple of other trails leading throughout the county. A little bit about the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee, which we'll hear about later. They're just getting up and running. They've had several meetings now. They're currently working on their mission statements, and hopefully they'll get into full swing in the next couple of weeks. And Vice Mayor Flores talked about the Arts Council, San Benito County Arts Council, and murals. We have 2 murals going up in the city. One is by Caltrans and the other is by the San Benito County Arts Council. They are working in concert with each other. Caltrans, and both of these projects are moving very quickly. Caltrans is working on a mural underneath the Washington Street overpass to 101. Some of it will be landscaping and fencing along the roadway, and they will put out a proposal with community input for artists. And the San Benito Arts Council is working on sites in the city of San Juan Bautista for some kind of mural. They have one site right now. They're just firming up the, it is on private property, so they're firming up the details about that. I think that's all I have for meetings. Does anybody from the public have questions, comments, or concerns of the council on any of the meetings that we attended?
Mayor, I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. On to action items. Item 6A, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista directing staff to advertise for candidates to fill the city clerk vacancy and directing staff to start the process to put a measure on the ballot to make the city clerk position appointive. City Manager, you are up.
I'll defer to City Attorney Deb Mall, who put this report together for us. Thank you, Deb.
City Attorney, you are up. Please unmute yourself.
It's okay.
Is this your last big hurrah?
Yes, it is my last big hurrah. I'm having trouble with my internet, so if my internet goes out, you guys can go ahead and fire me. So I'm going to make this a very brief report on the city clerk. The position needs to be filled, and your other option is to go for a special election if you don't fill it, which you don't want to do because it's very expensive and you have an election coming up in November. So you need to advertise to fill the position or come up with some suggestions and do that at your next meeting. What this really is a discussion item for you guys to look at whether you want to put it on the ballot to change this to an appointed position. And most cities do have an appointed city clerk, mostly because of the level of expertise that is required. And it's doubtful there's anyone in San Juan Bautista that is as qualified as Shauna was. So it really would be, beneficial to the city to have this be an appointed position. So then you could combine that with the job description you're going to do next, and have that be part of the job requirements for the new position, and also have that person get the training that's required. So anyways, this is just a discussion point for you guys. We need to start like in July to put this on the ballot if you start drafting the language and moving it forward, because there's a slow election schedule to put things on the November ballot. So you guys should discuss that now and determine whether you want to do that.
So we're voting tonight on whether or not to put this on the ballot, not a discussion of, we can discuss it, but.
So you're voting to start the process. So that would be the next person behind me to bring the first document back to you. I think sometime in the summer, you need to start taking action. So that's what that would be. It'd come back to you again. There's several decisions involved in it.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the public on this?
No, Mayor. Oh, just a moment. Yes, I have Jackie Morris Lopez.
Thank you
ahead,
very
Jackie.
much. Welcome, Jackie. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. So if this is an appointed position, what has it been in the past? If this is what you're considering tonight, how was the position recruited and filled? I don't know. That's not a comment, but a question.
Thank you very much. I guess I can answer that. It was elective, and we're looking at appointive. Okay, questions, comments, and concerns from the council. Councilmember Edge?
Yeah, Deborah, so if I understand this correctly, is we're going to have it, we're going to put it on the ballot. And so we have to start talking about it. And by our adopting it this evening, we'll put it on the ballot, but we'll also appoint someone to be the city clerk.
Yes, you need to appoint someone until November.
Okay, so then in November, we'll have to vote. Will we put it to the voters to see if they want to continue electing a city clerk, or can we ask them to discontinue it? Does it have to be the public that votes on this to discontinue this?
It is. It's in the government code that you need to have put it on the ballot.
Okay, so the motion that we make tonight will allow us to do that.
It'll start the process. So you'll have several decision points after that to, make sure the language is correct. And the language is in the government code, but it's going to come back to you again to formally put it on the ballot. So this is just telling staff to start working on this. And we've
Okay.
talked about it before. The last time we had the last appointment, we talked about this, and you guys were, kind of wanted to put it on the ballot. So this is just formalizing the action to tell, Bob Rathie to start the work to put it on the ballot.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
Yes, I agree with it. I think we should advertise for candidates to fill a city clerk position and start the process to put it on the ballot to make it appointed.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
I don't have any questions or concerns on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Yes, thank you. Actually, this is a very old problem. We've gone through this before. I believe it was in 2008, 2009, we actually had an election, whether to have it appointed or elected. The good citizens of San Juan chose it to be elected. I personally don't think that's the best choice, and it's coming back to bite us in the rear. And just in the past 8 or 9 years, we've had 7 or 8 city clerks, and that churn and turnover shows you it's not worth it. I am in favor of moving on into an appointed type situation where we can advertise from a wider pool of candidates than just people who are living in San Juan, and we can get an experienced clerk. I can tell you from other board meetings, it really helps to have a good clerk to help move things along. Not that Trish hasn't been, and Shauna haven't been doing a great job, but it's good to have a person who's trained and knowledgeable and doing it as their job, not as a volunteer service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say, and I wish she were on the call right now. I don't know if she is or not, but a big shout out to Shauna, who came in and filled the position and did an amazing job. My first couple of months as mayor would not have been what they were had not Shauna been here. I think she did a phenomenal job, and wishing her all of the best after us. Either way, we would be going to the ballot either as an election for a city clerk or making this appointive rather than elective, correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
you're likely going to have 2 questions on the ballot. One will likely be a city clerk election. The other one will be get rid of the elected city clerk position. So kind of weird, but that's the way it happened.
Let's hope they're worded correctly. The one concern I have is costs, salary versus the minimal stipend that we give. So just something to look at. Okay, can I have a motion to adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista directing?
I would like to adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista directing staff to advertise for candidates to fill the city clerk vacancy and directing staff to start the process to put a measure on the ballot to make the city clerk position appointive.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes,
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. 6B, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the Deputy City Clerk job description. City Manager, your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Trish helped put this together, of course. Our current Deputy City Manager, Administrative Services Manager, and she's retiring the first week in March. So it's important to get the job description updated and before the council so we can begin recruiting for this position. As noted in Trish's report, it hadn't been updated since 2006. And in her tenure at 17 years, the job grew incrementally to be quite a huge job over the years. We did some research of other cities, a small city in the foothills, Sierra Foothills, recruiting for a deputy city clerk human resources officer. very similar description with emphasis on clerking responsibilities and then HR. There's also common to see public information officer be associated in small cities with the deputy city clerk position because they do all the public posting of our agendas and so forth. And then risk management, because when someone files a claim against the city, they file a claim with the city clerk. So those are the three areas of disciplines that are covered by this very broad and detailed job description. The point was to catch all of these responsibilities, but then to put out a job flyer announcing the job that summarizes this in a much more concise and attractive way. So this is the detailed job description. It's not the actual advertisement, but we've, through interviewing our incumbents and working with other cities, this is how we got to this job description. And if approved tonight, we could begin recruitment by the end of the week. So with that, we're happy to take on any questions or concerns that you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you. Comment from the council, Councilmember Edge.
Yeah, you know, in looking at the job description, it definitely needs to be streamlined. Thank you, Trish, for all that you've done. It's like, that's a big load. The other thing I just have to say is that it would be nice to hire local. We've had a lot of people move into our community, and hopefully we can find somebody locally. And that's basically all I have to say. And thank you, Don.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
No questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. I really don't have any questions right now. I'm basically for it. I think having a full-time person who does these other jobs is the way to go. I like Mary, it might be a little overwhelming, but in our city with our population and with our size of our staff, all of our staff have to step up and do not double duty, but triple duty on various line positions. And that's just the way it is in a small town. So it'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trish, wow, big shoes to fill. Thank you very much for your years of service. I and the city all appreciate you. Really, you did all this stuff? Just kidding. Yeah, I like going out to advertise locally first. Hopefully there's a pool of folks out there with our new developments, even within the city itself, our old development. That would be nice to see. But yeah, we need to get this road on the show. Trish, how many more days do we have you to start training somebody?
3 weeks.
All right, Don, get somebody in there yesterday.
That's the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. Cesar, did you have another comment? Okay, sorry, I thought I saw your hand raised. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Edge.
Yes.
Councilmember Flores. Councilmember Friels.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Again, Trish, thank you. 6C, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Regional Government Services, RGS, temporarily provide clerk services for city council and the planning commission meetings, human resources, and risk management services. City manager, your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as we've just discussed, our city clerk has had to resign and our deputy city clerk is retiring, and we have big shoes to fill. In seeking temporary support, we're defining meeting services as drafting our agendas for planning commission, city council, creating the meeting packets, public awareness, posting and publishing reports, making sure we're adhering to the Fair Political Practices Commission and Ralph M. Brown Act, meeting management and minutes. It's a lot to take on. The deputy and city clerk would work together in covering these meetings for us. So to have them both gone is something that we need to be prepared to address. So the strategy I'm putting forward is to consider a nonprofit joint powers authority known locally as the Regional Government Services Authority. They work exclusively for the benefit of public agencies. Their joint powers authority provide their mission is to provide quality, innovative, cost-effective services for local governments and districts. We originally took on a small contract with Regional Government Services to help with job descriptions and some recruitment. And this report proposes that we expand that to include meeting services. And so to that end, we have talked to a proposed candidate as a retired city clerk to help us conduct our meetings remotely. And she could come on board and work with Trish maybe as soon as this week to understand our system. The public meeting communications require hard copies to be printed and distributed in our city, coordinating with special guest speakers, resolutions to be printed and signed in person, filed, agreements executed in person, insurance and other requirements collected and received. So with that, a recognition that the retired city clerk would be helping remotely, I'm also asking that we consider a part-time office technician to support for 20 hours or less a week, all those clerical duties that our deputy city clerk performs for us. So together, on a temporary basis, we could fill this vacancy, and Trish would be here for a little bit to help us with the transition. Much appreciated. So that is the nature of staff's report, proposing a contract with RGS not to exceed $50,000. And if we can fill the deputy city clerk position sooner, then we wouldn't spend near that amount of money. But it's just to assure that we have a seamless transition, which it won't be seamless, but we'll do our best to cope, and especially in the month of March and the first planning commission meeting in April. So with that, happy to answer any questions you may have about RGS or about the proposed transition.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment?
So yes, Jackie Morris Lopez.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Jackie. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. So what or who is RGS, and what exactly would their contract or work entail beyond what you described, and what would be the cost? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And all of that is outlined in the packet that we can share. Questions, comments, or concerns from the council? Councilmember Ed?
No, I agree with this, and I talked earlier to our city manager, and if he can get the company to, for less than the 50,000, that's great. And we do need the help, so thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
My question is, how long does this agreement go for?
I believe it's proposed for 2 years, but the actual temporary city clerk would only last as long as the deputy city clerk and the city clerk appointment takes. So the goal is to probably continue with HR services, but not the meeting services. So it would go for 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Or as long as our $50,000 holds out.
Or as long as $50,000 holds out.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman?
Thank you. I just have one question, following up on what Caesar said. If we find a person we want to appoint that also has some HR skills, will we be able to terminate the contract after she comes on board or he comes on board?
Yeah, yes, that's the goal. That's the goal, that this would be a temporary fill. There might be some time to work on some personnel policies that we need to establish and get in place. But otherwise, the point is to help fill for the meeting services first and then HR as needed.
So the 2 years is not a solid timeline, that we have to pay out money each month over the 24 months for services rendered by RGS. It is cancelable when we get people to step in and do the job.
Yes, it's billed on a per hour basis. So that's what they talk about as a cost-effective method. So that's why it's a not to exceed number. So when we're done with the services, we can terminate the agreement, 30 days notice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All of my questions have been answered. Okay, can I have a motion to adopt a resolution?
So moved.
Thank you very much. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Edge,
yes,
Councilmember Flores,
Yes,
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes,
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. 6D, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista approving amendment to contract of employment for city attorney, providing for appointment of Robert E. Racy as city attorney. City manager.
I'll defer to the city attorney on this one.
There's not much there. I'm retiring at the end of the month. And so Bob from my office would be happy to fill the position for you folks. He's very detail oriented. He's been doing that job for Marina. Tonight's the last night at Marina, so that's why he's not here. But he's been doing that job at Marina. He's very detail oriented. He knows the Brown Act, knows everything that needs to be known to be a city attorney. So he's going to do a very good job for you. And so I feel like I'm leaving this position in his good hands.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns from the public?
No, Mayor, there are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge,
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
thank you.
We'll miss you next month.
Thank you. I'll miss you too.
Vice Mayor Flores,
no questions. Thank you.
thank you very much. Councilmember Friels,
No questions. Thank you.
thank you. Councilmember Freeman,
I just want to say thank you, Deb. She's done a great job for all these years. Have a great retirement. Thank you.
Thanks, John. I've enjoyed working with you.
Mhm.
thank you very much. Deb, wow, exciting times ahead. Congratulations, wishing you the very best. Enjoy the new chapter. Super excited to hear all about it. Want photos.
Sure.
So the contract amendment is to take your name out and to put Bob's in?
Yes.
Okay,
And it also adjusts him from 140 to 160 per hour.
What? Just kidding. Thank you.
The big promotion there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Saving the big chair.
Just because he's
Wait,
male
I didn't
doesn't
see that.
pay more. Sorry.
Nicely done, Vice Mayor. May I have a motion, please?
I would like to make the motion to adopt the resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista approving amendment to contract of employment for city attorney, providing for appointment of Robert E. Rathy as city attorney.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second it.
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I'll second that.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Edge,
Yes,
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes,
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. If we didn't pass this, would Deb have to stay?
Ah. She wouldn't be very happy.
She's not paying attention.
Deb, once again, thank you so much for all you've done. We really appreciate you. I appreciate you.
She's frozen.
I know,
Oh, she is frozen. Frozen in time.
darn.
Okay, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with EMC Planning Group to prepare a community plan and sphere of influence study. Is this one you done, or do we go back to Deb?
Oh, this one's Brian's.
Hey, Brian, how are you? Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome.
We are ready for you.
So, good. So, out of big picture planning exercises and, programs, this is perhaps one of the most significant communities can get involved in. And, I'd just like to say that, you had a ad hoc group that prepared a prospective urban growth boundaries sphere of influence configuration for the community to consider. And rather than, and I'd like to emphasize that rather than adopting or considering that particular configuration, this planning program that we're going to talk about in a minute is supposed to go through a process of evaluation, community engagement, deliberation by the Planning Commission and City Council, and then presentation to the county and consideration by LAFCO and final adoption of a either or both, but perhaps both, a sphere of influence, and also perhaps if we get there, we're lucky enough, and a revised city limit line. So, I think that the importance of this for the community can't be understated. There were various comments this evening about the need for affordable housing. There have been a lot of conversations about the need for more employment and the types of employment that we might need. This is, all about, implementing the general plan, 2035 general plan that's currently in effect. We don't talk about that plan very much in the day-to-day operation of zoning and planning, but it is the most important document that we have. To that end, what I'd like to do is just start from the very beginning. And if I can share my screen here, am I co-host already?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Where's my PowerPoint? No.
Come on.
Let's see. I know it's here. Just a second. Okay, that's where it is. But I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and go through the slides here. As I mentioned, the general plan, and we're going to talk about two things here. We're going to talk about the general plan sphere of influence, the urban growth boundary. We're also going to talk about a specific plan that's funded by an SB2 grant. The sphere of influence urban growth boundary program is funded by the general plan. I'm sorry, by the general fund, and is budgeted for about $100,000. And the SB2 grant is funded by the state, and it's about $160,000. And so this program combines those two, and I'll explain why that is important as we go through the slides. So first, we see this representation in the general plan. It's map 4.2. It looks forward to a proposed sphere of influence at the time the general plan was adopted. That looks like this. It's very close to what the Urban Growth Boundary Committee felt was important, especially here in the south end of the community. You'll notice that the proposed sphere of influence includes areas over here that have been included in a conservation easement that's now been in effect for a few months. Then what this map does is it establishes an area of concern. And I think that this area of concern is intended in the general plan to describe an area that the city really wants to have an influence over in terms of what happens there. To the effect that whatever happens there is going to heavily influence our community character, because these are areas that are adjacent to our city limit and will also be adjacent to any future expansion of that limit. After adoption of this general plan, the sphere of influence was not really changed to reflect that configuration. Instead, a very crude, rough boundary was established around the community. And I think this was a means to explore conversation about where the sphere should actually be in sort of a pending area, so that eventually the city could come to terms with, and the community could come to terms with, what that sphere of influence should actually look like. And you can see here some important elements of the conversation the Urban Growth Boundary Committee had. You'll notice here on the east side, these are areas of prime farmland that's clearly reflected in the Urban Growth Boundaries discussion and their configuration. And you'll see some areas that are expanded here to the south, also important considerations for the committee, and then more limited opportunities for development in the north. So these are all things that the Urban Growth Boundary Committee considered in their conversation. And what we ended up with in the last committee discussion was a two-tiered approach. And the two tiers are, our first tier you see here are orange. And those are areas that are immediately adjacent to the city that are logical areas for residential and industrial, residential expansion and industrial growth and development. And in a planned situation, many general plans have already configured specific plan boundaries. This general plan doesn't, but that doesn't mean that, excuse me, the city council can't revisit that topic in future planning that occurs at the level, at the general plan level. So what this configuration does is that it does the same thing that the previous urban growth boundary looks at prime farmland on this side and says, well, we really don't want to consider any of this land as part of our sphere of influence, either first tier or second tier. We only really want to look at areas that we know are not really constrained to a great extent, or if they are constrained, those constraints can be overcome in the development process, either through the way things are constructed or through avoidance. So you see here the San Andreas Fault. This is the Alquist Priolo zone, areas where there needs to be special study for earthquake fault rupture when projects are proposed, and a significant portion of this area on the east side of the city are within that area. And that's a significant development constraint. It adds cost. There potentially needs to be exclusion areas, special construction methods, and certainly areas to avoid. You'll also see on this map some areas that are crosshatched here. For example, down here in the south, this up and down crosshatch, those are Williamson Act lands, and those are areas that are contracted for ag preservation with the state of California and the assessor's office for property tax relief, based on the fact that they're being used for agriculture. Everybody's familiar with those. What the second tier does is it identifies, which is in yellow, the Urban Growth Boundary Committee felt that these are the areas that will be significant as they influence, if growth does occur, if development does occur, these areas will significantly affect the character of the community. Not so much these areas that are in orange, but definitely the areas that are in yellow, which are further out or adjacent to prime farmlands. And so the committee felt that these areas should be included in the sphere, perhaps, but that the city should exercise real control over resource protection, open space conservation, and so forth in these areas as a way to protect the community's small town character going forward into the next couple of decades. So what we're talking about here is a sphere of influence determination from LAFCO, and these are the factors that LAFCO will look at. I know that LAFCO made a presentation recently to City Council going over these factors, but it doesn't hurt to review them. But these are the things that LAFCO will look at when they look at determining what our sphere should be: services, population, potential development, maximum service that can be provided, service area, present and probable future service needs, and agencies that are available to provide services at adequate and range of services provided by local government. So these are the important factors LAFCO considers. Then, in addition to those services, LAFCO will consider the city's municipal services review, which is a review of our ability to provide services to a growing population over the years that the general plan is projected. So this is a look at the current services that are provided, and also a look at future capability to provide services, and really careful look at how the city intends to accommodate its population with services and facilities in the future. So the next steps here for us is to, just strictly with respect to the sphere of influence, discuss with San Benito County a respective boundary with text, figures, and acreages. The city would pre-zone and pre-adopt general plan and zoning designations for those areas. And then the city will adopt a CEQA document to reflect those changes. Our hope is that with consistency with our current general plan, that's a minor negative declaration, but we'll see about that. Once adopted by the city council, then the city will request that LAFCO will process a sphere of influence update and municipal services review. Don and I have talked about the municipal services review, and it's our belief that LAFCO will ask us to do that for them as an application requirement. And then LAFCO will finally decide the boundary and the contents of the MSR in a final action. Well, as we thought about this process, we thought that really when we go and look at where development is likely to occur in the city, and we looked at where development has been considered in the past, it seems very heavily oriented to the south end of town. And I don't think that's going to change. Don doesn't think it's going to change. We think it's going to continue to represent the significant growth expansion for the community, and where our employment base is going to be located apart from the downtown area, and where our new residential development will most likely occur, other than the property that Don mentioned earlier in the north part of town. To that end, Don applied for and obtained an SB2 grant. EMC assisted with that. EMC Planning Group assisted with that acquisition, and funded a specific plan in the south end of town because of that orientation that we have. But the more we looked at this, the more we realized that sphere of influence wasn't necessarily set really sufficient in area, or hadn't been sufficiently analyzed to determine whether this specific plan and its accompanying sphere of influence modification leading to annexation could be approved by LAFCO, because there really wasn't an overall look at the city sphere. So given the balance of potential future growth and development in the south compared to what currently exists, we felt that it would be best, and the fact that we needed to add more funding to the planning effort for the south side, we decided that it would be best to combine these two programs, so that when we do the south end planning for the south end, we end up with a logical array of land uses and a circulation scheme, putting off to the future, more specific, planning for infrastructure and regulations that might guide that development, as you would expect a typical specific plan to include. So what we thought might be best is that we do a general plan level program that is essentially a community plan that looks at the overall sphere, looks at how development should occur in the south end of town in more fine level of detail than you would ordinarily expect a general plan land use scheme to do, but really take that to the next step, where we can approach LAFCO with the logical argument for expansion of the sphere based on this study. And so what I believe is that this community plan is the path to a logical, reasonable sphere of influence that LAFCO will adopt. And so as we look at the community plan, it's intended to plan for a new urban growth boundary, provide land use designations, expansion areas, work in walkable smart growth principles, incorporate an active transportation plan effort by Blue Zones, our intended contractor, along with the MC Planning Group, and provide a focus to the city's expansion to the south, so that we have a balance of jobs and housing, which in my opinion is extremely important for the community character that we all wish to preserve. So that plan will incorporate background and purpose, land use development standards and guidelines. It will look at mobility in terms of these connectivity concepts, complete street planning, open parks and recreation, and what we call plan level infrastructure and public facilities. That is, we'll know where things go and how big they should be based on the plan that we put together, and then a series of plan implementation steps that will guide the city to actually begin to put some real teeth and fine level of detail to this overall planning effort. Importantly, I think that the consultants that we're asking the city council to consider are really, significant experience in community outreach. The Blue Zones are highly regarded in this particular area, as is the EMC Planning Group. And I think this is why EMC Planning Group wants to work with Blue Zones here in San Juan Bautista, because community engagement is so important. So our program, Blue Zones program, involves 2 on-site community charrettes. There will be a community presentation, meetings with key stakeholders, the community presentation on emerging opportunities, and then a second charrette involving meetings with key stakeholders and an open house for residents, elected officials, and other stakeholders, county staff, and so forth. Then finally, there will be a series of Planning Commission and City Council study sessions, all of which are open to the public. And the intention there is to showcase both in person and interactively for people that can't attend, the concepts that are being brought forth into the plan, with a foundation on community health, equity, locational efficiency, and design tools. Actually using as a foundation the design guidelines that are already exist here in the community. Finally, we believe that the community plan, so we have the community plan is a path to a sphere of influence. It's also a path, provides a path to satisfying California Environmental Quality Act and the municipal services review that we know will be required at the level of detail that you see here in this particular slide. Again, this sort of planning program is a general plan level planning program. Involves a lot of upfront community engagement work, preparation of design guidelines, a draft plan, and then also involved in this are some special sub-programs that are necessary to make the community engagement program a success. And the total cost is a combination, just slightly under $160,000 from the SB2 grant, plus the $100,000 budgeted by the city for the sphere of influence effort. Finally, the project schedule is relatively quick for an exercise like this. It's 8 months, but we're being driven here by the schedule for the SB2 grant, which requires, without any opportunity for extension, that we be finished in September and October. So this is very important for us to be able to use that grant money within that time frame for that reason. We did get HCD's approval for this program just a few weeks ago, and that has enabled us to bring this item before the City Council this evening. I know Dan Burden is here. He is at the phone number 614-595-0976 if City Council wants to hear from Dan. Dan is the principal from Blue Zones, and he would need to be given some opportunity to either share his screen or to speak. So that concludes the staff presentation.
Thanks, Brian. Before we move to Dan, can you just throw that last slide up again, please?
Yes. Is this the one you were wanting to see?
I have nothing.
Oh, you don't? Oh, did I not share? Sorry.
I think so.
Goodness, okay. Here we are. There we are.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay,
I think it would be good to hear from Dan. If
sure,
that's possible.
bring Dan on.
Go ahead, Dan.
Hi, Dan, welcome.
You'll need to unmute yourself.
Dan, can you hear us? You can't answer because you're muted.
Yeah, I know he can hear us. I'm just not sure he can unmute. Give him-
Okay, I hope I've done the right thing.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
are. Yes, we can hear you
Hi,
now.
Dan,
Oh, good.
welcome.
Well, thank you, and what a treat. This is a project that we've been working closely with your staff on for a little over a year to make sure we had all the right details. And we're doing this. We Blue Zones are a sub to EMC, a wonderful team that you've had experience with, and they have much experience in this arena. The Blue Zones aspect is going to work specifically on several tasks. The big one is public engagement. We use an informed consent process that really helps build understanding and teaming and ownership. We're very inclusive in our process, and as Brian very adequately expressed, there'll be a very close liaison between the commission, the council, various organizations, and community teams to further build this kind of an alliance that goes beyond this project. There are 3 projects that are going concurrent that are all interrelated. One is the 156 highway project. That has a short life. Then a much more significant one, Caltrans has funded with the community making a contribution to this, building your active transportation plan. That's what my personal forte has been over my entire career. And I'm delighted that we'll be able to work with you on street connectivity, walkability, all the elements that help build your town. This also has a big feature in building design guidelines for you, so that you not only have not only a good process, but good products that help guide you in what you seek. We'll be in full alignment with your mixed use needs, housing needs, of becoming more walkable, honoring your cultural and historic values. I have become a skilled reader in your general plan. I have a pretty good feeling for what has gone into it, all the energies and efforts. And anyway, I'm just delighted that we can be part of the process. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to share a few ideas.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns from the public?
Yes, Mayor, I believe there is somebody. So first we have Dan DeFries.
Hi, Dan, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dan Burden, it's good to hear your voice. I don't know if you remember, but Scott Fuller and I hired you years ago for Save San Juan Valley. And you did a lot of work on the intersection of the Alameda and 156. My first question is whether you're going to be able to incorporate any of your brilliant thoughts for that intersection into the work that you're doing now.
Well, I certainly hope so, Dan. I was delighted that the team that's been hired by Caltrans to oversee that project emphasized some of the work that we had done, and that's quite the honor that Caltrans listened to us 4 or 5 years ago. I forget which year we did that project. Yeah, but I'm very hopeful. It was a very positive tone for that opening meeting. So.
Oh, that's good to hear. I wish they would have incorporated all of your thoughts, Dan. 'Cause, you know,
Well, we'll work on that. We'll work
I
on
hope so.
that.
Well, it's a step in the right direction. And then
Yeah.
my next question is to Brian, I guess. I don't know if David Mack is no longer in charge of this, but Brian, do you envision, from what I hear you saying, there's going to be no difference between the urban growth boundary and the sphere of influence? Those lines will be one and the same on the same map?
We're not using the term urban growth boundary. We're using the term sphere of influence because it's more likely that we're going to be able to keep that terminology. I think it's very confusing to call something that's a sphere of influence boundary an urban growth boundary because people really don't relate to it. It's not part of LAFCO's parlance. And so it could be one and the same. I don't know what you mean by urban growth boundary, but I do know what everybody means by sphere of influence. And I think everybody else knows what a sphere of influence means as well. So we want to just, get rid of the ambiguity there and relate specifically to the sphere that we know we're going to have when we go before LAFCO. The other thing is, and I'm just answering your question. The other thing is that blue zones will also be the principal involved in the principal contract for the active transportation plan. So that crossing, 156 crossing, will be an important aspect of that plan.
Hugely important, yeah. And I happen to agree with you. I think the sphere of influence becomes an urban growth boundary because that's the area in which a city can provide sewer and water, and that's the area where you can grow. And the last question I'll ask, I hope, Brian, is at the very beginning of your comments, when you described the EMC scope of work, did I hear you correctly? And I'm paraphrasing now. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but is EMC in their work going to be essentially starting from scratch, or are they going to be building upon the decisions, findings, agreements that were made by the Urban Growth, the Urban Boundary Committee and the Planning Commission, or is EMC going to kind of take a fresh look at all of this?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the mayor if it's okay if I continue answering questions from Dan.
Go ahead, and then we'll move on.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, so the work of the Urban Growth Boundary Committee was to establish a starting point for evaluation by the city through this extensive public engagement process and this extensive planning program. The Urban Growth Boundary Committee did not have the wherewithal that this planning team has. While they, gave a significant amount of time and attention, we need to actually go take this a step forward. So I'm very careful to explain that this program is an evaluation that will help the community come to terms with what that sphere of influence should look like as it's presented to LAFCO. So the Urban Growth Boundary Committee's work should be considered a starting point.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Thank you very much, Dan. Do we have any other public comments?
No, Mayor, there are no other hands raised.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the City Council. Councilmember Edge. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Brian, you mentioned a grant,
Yes,
and how much is that?
the grant portion of this is 160,000,
Okay,
and the city had budgeted 100,000 previously for
Okay.
For the other portion.
all right. Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores, please unmute yourself.
No questions. Thank you, Brian, for your report. Pretty clear. It's a long one, too.
Sorry.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
Yes, I've got a few things.
Thank you.
To start with, the original I see some names under here, background information. Dan DeVries was on the original urban growth boundary and sphere of influence. I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
that's the record.
Absolutely.
And then what a lot of folks don't understand is we do not, I'm going to say this again, we do not have current sphere of influence. We don't have Hadrian's Wall out there, you know, we have no protection currently, and that's why I'm kind of happy with this SB grant, SB2. All right, I always get all these SBs wrong. SB2. I'm happy that it's going to force us to push this along. I know there's a lot of concerns out in the public when they see all these lines out on these maps and these regions, everything. And it took me a while to wrap my head around a lot of this stuff. It takes a lot. And Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, annexation and adoption, all that stuff, it's not going to happen overnight. So all those projections as far as residences and things like that within this boundary, this isn't going to happen tomorrow. I know there's a lot of folks going out there, oh my God, there's like 200 homes or 2,500 new homes and whatever's in the, I don't have the numbers, but people are kind of freaking out. Like we don't have the services and the water and all that stuff. This takes, and this is the state of California, folks, this takes forever, it seems like. So just unless I'm wrong, Ryan, it's going to take a while. If we wanted to annex everything within, let's say the first phase.
Yeah, I think that the important thing is that we need to calibrate the actual sphere of influence boundary with our services planning that Don has been working hard on over the past few years, and also, we have a growth rate that's in the general plan, and that we need to calibrate our sphere relative to the growth that we expect to happen, consistent with the availability of services over the 2030, over the lifespan of the plan. That's how we avoid doing a whole new EIR for this effort, I think. So this program will look at that, but it's, I think it's going to be exciting to see what the configuration looks like and what the land use elements and overall circulation scheme looks like. There's going to be some great concepts that come out of this, I think.
And as far as the service agreements and all that kind of stuff, we're kind of lucky. We contract with the Sheriff's Department, and the Sheriff's Department provides law enforcement for the exterior. We contract with Hollister Fire Department, and they provide. So some of that stuff is going to be streamlined because we won't be jumping from agency to agency, which is kind of nice. Let's see, another thing, I know a lot of folks see a portion of the map towards the west, kind of south, I guess, northwest side of town. And that's the Nyland, what used to be in the Nyland Ranch. It's still, I'm sure we're calling it that. And that is locked up in a land trust. So we're fortunate there. We really talk about it, somebody throwing us this, one of those survival rings off of a ship. We dodged that bullet, which is huge, and it didn't develop, it didn't sell, it didn't develop, and there's not a Formula One racetrack there. I'd love to see a Formula One racetrack in San Benito County, but not in my backyard. I'm going to be a NIMBY. And then Mary asked the same question I was going to ask about the grant. Fortunately, that popped up. Thank you, Mary. And then just for the record, I was not in favor of including the cement plant property in this sphere of influence. Just, I want to make sure that's out there because that's locked up in a land trust, and or a family owns that. They own the 750,000 or 750 acres, and it's currently being leased for a long time. So I'm not too worried about that property developing. So, and I just want to thank everybody who's on the committee with us. There's a lot of work. This is a lot of, Mary can vouch for this. And land use stuff is just mind blowing. And thankfully, Dan DeVries was there to begin with and kind of walked us through a few things. And so did, our planner. David Matt was huge. Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for going through this. This is a lot of work, and this is a big deal for us. Hopefully we're going to have protection. So thank you, and appreciate your work too, Brian. I know you worked hard on this, and Dawn, thank you very much for being there with us the whole time. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Councilmember Freeman?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to follow up on what Scott said and really give kudos to the group led by Brian, but the Urban Growth Boundary Committee, excuse me. You've done great work. I would just like to add a few more things into the mix to think about. One of the things that I've tried to talk about over the years is we really still do not have any type of area for the kids, you know, and I've mentioned skate parks next to the community center and all these type of things. Basketball courts at the school being open. You know, we don't have any. If Scott and I wanted to go down and play hoops right now and it was light, we could not do it. We could not do it. It's not possible in San Juan. So that needs to change. That really needs to change if we're thinking about all the people, including people, teenagers, people in their 20s and 30s, things like that, who still might use recreational activities. Hopefully people in their 60s and 70s can use them, like me. So anyway, I'd like EMC and Brian to think about possibly, you know, it's talked about in some of the reports here in the agenda about hiring new people, Parks and Recreation, PIO, all these. I don't know if you've noticed, but City Hall is getting a little crowded for office space. You know, so you're going to have to do something sometime in the near future. And I'm not talking 20 years away. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years, maybe even sooner than that. And so you might want to think, we have a well site out there with quite a bit of space. Public Works, some other offices could go there. Could move to the library. There's a back room in the library that could hold maybe 2 offices. Community center, if it could be reconfigured and reconfigured to be modular and supportive of many different environments at the same time, and these are possible. So these are all things that really don't have much to do with the urban growth boundary per se, but do have to do with the growth of the town and what's needed. So Mr. Blue Zone, I forget your name, I'm sorry. But I know you're all about active transportation, about an active, engaged community. And this is what I'm trying to push for. It was what I've always been trying to push for. So I want to make sure we push for it. I'm not interested in 100 new houses, you know, unless at least 30% of them are low income. We got to push on that hard. I know, Brian, you're going to push back, but I'll push back too. It's needed. We don't have housing for people who work here in town. The waiters, the cooks at Hardeen's, Donia's, and JJ's. We don't. How are they going to afford a $900,000 home? So anyway, getting back to the point, I'm in favor of all the studies. I would like EMC to take a bigger view of some of the things I just mentioned, and they can throw it in for free. That's that's my point. Thank you.
Thanks, John. I have a couple of comments. Welcome, City Slickers, growing our town from around us. I wasn't sure when we decided to build out what somebody is calling the South Side. Brian, did you call that the South Side?
Yeah, South End.
The south end of town. Yeah. And having said all of that, Dan, Scott, Jackie, Mary, EJ, and I'm missing one person, am I not? Who were the original folks?
Dan.
Louise McShane.
Dan was the
Oh, yeah.
first person I mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Luis Chang.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Dan Scott, Jackie, Mary, EJ, and Luis. I appreciate all the work that you guys have done on this. Dan asked the difference between, sorry, paraphrasing, why we're not having an urban growth boundary and calling it a sphere of influence. But I thought we all understood the difference between an urban growth boundary, how far you can build up to, and the sphere of influence, everything surrounding the how far we will grow out as protected land. And maybe I missed that somewhere. I'm happy we're getting SB2 grants. I am right there with you, John, on all of the available of housing and affordable housing. That doesn't mean I want a whole bunch of apartments going up either, though. Responsible building is what we need. And we're looking at less than or equal to 1.9% growth per year for until 2030 or
2035. Yeah.
2035. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've done a ton of math today. I don't want to do any more, and I'm not sure what those numbers are, but it sounds like this is a whole lot more. I like blue zones. I've been a fan of blue zones forever, or since the inception of blue zones. I've been to lots of lectures about them. I'm all about healthy communities, pathways, bike trails, walking trails, building a community that you can get to from anywhere, anyhow, and perhaps an overpass walking bridge at 156 is the way to go. I'm also right there with John and putting those basketball courts in, and stuff for our youth. I think a lot of the conversation around the mayor's meeting last week or the beginning of this week was about how we can engage our youth in something like I'm missing a word, activities that are good, that are outdoors, that are community-based. I mean, we have some of that going on now, but that's for the little kids. When T-ball was going on, I had big kids coming asking, well, why don't we have pony ball? So a lot of this is good. I'm nervous about a lot of it, but I'm gonna follow with Scott and Mary and be okay with it a wee bit. I had a question about one of our sub-consultants, though, Victor Gomez. Who is that, and why do we have him?
Dan, can you explore a little bit about that?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Was the name Victor Dover?
Victor Gomez.
Oh, Victor Gomez. I'm
He's
sorry.
a sub-consultant for $8,000.
Oh, okay. That's through EMC, and I'm sorry, I'm just not knowledgeable on his specific set of towns.
Okay. I'd like to know who that is and why we have him, and I apologize
I can answer that.
for not being able to read. Go ahead, John.
Victor Gomez is the former mayor of Hollister. He is a resident of Hollister. He wrote our cannabis ordinance. He is a land use. People might hate this term, but I think it's accurate. He's a land use lobbyist.
Mhm.
And I think he's fair. So I don't know exactly what he's hired to do by EMC. You would have to talk to EMC about that.
Yeah, I'd like
He has
an
his own
answer.
He has his own consulting company.
Yeah.
Let me look at
out of
that.
San Jose.
Yeah,
Let me look at the- Okay.
I'm concerned about that. Who was the other one? Bring the table?
Bang the Table is a.
Bang the table?
Mhm. Yes, Bang the Table is a remote public engagement platform. That's my understanding.
It's a software, right? It's like surveys and stuff like that.
Okay.
Let me try to answer your, I'm going to try to answer your question about Victor Gomez from the scope of work. And I can answer other questions while I look.
I can't, sorry. The table 2 project budget is super tiny, and maybe if I put readers on over my glasses, that still doesn't work. I can't see who I must look like a dork, who the last person is under Bang the Table, or the group before it. Did you get why Victor is a consultant, Brian?
Yeah, I'm still looking to see what his specific responsibility is.
Okay.
I have a feeling that because this project area potentially includes the industrial land that Victor has been involved in, and they understand that cannabis use has not gone away.
So is he an advocate for that? I mean, cannabis is his business, and I'm just making sure that there's not a conflict here.
Yes, I understand. I understand that.
That was my biggest concern when I saw his name on it.
Yeah.
That I see a very big conflict.
Yeah, I'm not finding. Okay. What we could do is we could.
So I just want to make sure that this big, huge area that we have now designated as our sphere of influence, and thank you, Scott, for a lot of clarification with not being able to build like the cement plant or the Nyland Ranch. But we have this big, huge area now that San Juan can be. And I just want to make sure that throughout this whole entire process, before anything goes to LAFCO, that there is 100% community involvement and engagement. The folks who were on the committee worked 2 years on it, and we got to, oh, we're going to hire a consultant now. It was my understanding that this group was formed to go to LAFCO on behalf of our city. So I just want to make sure that we have had that we continue to have community engagement a lot, because this is huge. This is huge for the city of San Juan Bautista. I mean, I can't tell by the map, but more than quadruples the size.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not seeing specific reference to Victor Gomez in the scope of work.
Okay.
And if necessary, we could take that out if necessary.
Yeah, I see a conflict, and I don't know if any of the other council members do or not.
I don't know exactly what Victor does. He wears different hats. I know him personally, but I don't know. I was surprised to see his name on here myself, but honestly, I don't know.
One of his
Yeah.
hats is to find places for cannabis.
Right, and I think that this is something that he's also been involved as correct me if I'm wrong, Don, contracted with the city to prepare the cannabis application, or was that
Yeah,
on
no,
behalf
that's
of Orozco?
no, that's him. And I'm not against cannabis. I just think that this is just kidding. I just think that this is a conflict for somebody whose job it is to find places for cannabis to be on a committee that can potentially that is looking at it for his profit.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
mean,
point.
everybody is on here for profit, but I just want to,
Yeah, I understand the uncertainty
just
here.
throwing it out.
Yeah, I think that the cost is minimal. It's $5,000, which means that he's not looking at the sub-consultant costs.
It's 8,000.
Yeah, so it's a pretty minor amount, which means his involvement is considered to be negligible from the standpoint of the overall work. But so, and also by that token, we can exclude that if you like. I think so. And then,
Yeah, I don't see why not, Brian. I don't see why not. What Victor does on behalf of the city is he receives applications for cannabis licenses.
Right.
So he was working on behalf of the city, reviewing a proposed cannabis license. So if he's in the business of helping the city do that, he should probably not be on a land use decision-making role as well with EMC. So we would have to find another land use planner. That would be my suggestion to EMC, but to keep the contract together and perhaps have to look for a different land use planner.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the dollars out of the budget. But if there's a need to have some land use consulting around that land use, then that would be something that they could include just as a part of the overall scope.
And we can find somebody else to do that?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the comments I have. If anybody else from the council wants to circle back with anything, go ahead, Scott.
Right, I know the color chart for this, the way the sphere is laid out, but just what folks need to understand is just because a sphere of influence has been established doesn't mean we have to annex.
Mm-hmm.
We did it in tiers because once we established that sphere of influence, then we're going to have to provide services, water, power, or water, sewer, stuff like that.
Water, sewer.
Yeah, I think the important thing to understand here is that we need to evaluate the work of the Urban Growth Boundary Committee from the standpoint of general plan consistency and with respect to our capability to provide services. That's not something that the committee could get into. And we need to have the community fully engaged in the sphere of influence proposal before the city council. And the best way to do that is to have a program like this. So we're concerned on the public engagement side. We're also concerned on the technical side with respect to how well this starting point, this configuration is supported by our own, by planning for the other important elements, services, infrastructure, circulation, transportation. Just the full range of general plan consistency is going to be important here. And the general plan is not just about land use. It's about everything.
Right, understood. Yeah.
That's a big job for the committee to undertake.
If I could finish.
Go ahead, Scott, please.
Yeah. We learned, Dan DeFreeze already had a really good grasp of this, but like Mary, myself, everybody else learned these land use issues in California California's had land use issues that are so complex for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And there's absolutely no way me, a retired fireman, is going to go in front of LAVCO and be able to present this stuff because it was way beyond, so, and if I can say, I don't remember ever discussing, I don't think I missed a meeting, but I don't remember discussing anything about blue zones. So I read some of the stuff that was introduced earlier, I guess in last year or the last year. But I didn't know what the involvement was going to be. I knew that we had the planning group it was in the ballpark, but I didn't know there was going to be this subgroup. And I was kind of a little surprised to see it. And I may have missed something. Doesn't mean I didn't miss something, but I just want everybody to know we were as thorough as possible. And then we also switched kind of planners mid stroke.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of work. So thank you.
Yeah, thank
you. Scott, I vaguely remember Blue Zone, but I don't know if it was Dave Mackel that brought it up. I don't know how. It does seem vaguely familiar because I know I didn't dream it.
No, we've had presentations from them before, but I don't think it was an association with.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we have seen them before the council before. Go ahead, Don.
The memory that you have was the first attempt at getting EMC's proposal approved by itself. And there was concern about, and Blue Zone was part of that proposal, as I recall. So EMC and SB2 was brought by itself before Brian came on board during the Urban Growth Boundary Committee activity. And it was rejected and tabled by the council. So this is a reiteration of that with some of the same good subcontractors that we had back then. So it may ring a bell because we looked at this a year or so ago and said no.
Okay, thank you all. Thanks for this conversation. If nobody else has anything to add, I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move it to adopt a resolution of the City Council, the San Juan Bautista, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with the EMC Planning Group to prepare a community plan and sphere of influence study.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mary. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Wow, thank you very much. And thanks to all who are waiting in their wings to chat with us. 6F, adopt a resolution of the City of San Juan, City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista, amending the Memorandum of Understanding approved by Resolution 2021-16 related to the use of federal CDBG-CV1 funds for subsistence payment for utility costs. for the residents of San Juan Bautista, expanding this assistance to all city residents to expedite the use of all funds before the May 2022 deadline.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to pause for a minute to let the council know that I believe we set this up for a 3-hour meeting tonight, and I apologize. But we're going to try and squeeze in as much as we can. And I just might suggest that discussion item A, the strategic plan. That's why the fire chief is here and the sheriff's department is here to talk about just an overview of what they've been doing. We might want to push the strategic plan itself to a special town hall meeting as we did last year, just to help us get through the rest of the agenda tonight. So with that, 6F. The CARES Act came from the federal government in the form of Community Development Block Grant, and there's version 1, 2, and 3. Version 1 is the initial version that came out with $63,000 for the city, and we agreed in 2020 to enter into a memorandum of understanding so that the county could administer this complicated grant program on behalf of the San Juan Bautista residents. We created a rental and utility assistance program. 23,500 would go for staffing and 52,800 would go for those program costs. In April 2021, we had to amend our version 1 allocation and limit it to just utility assistance. You might recall the state adopted its own rental assistance program. So all of a sudden, our use that we had determined became ineligible. So limiting it to San Juan Bautista residents and for utility assistance only, we recognized last fall that we were falling short of our goal, that the San Juan Bautista residents were either not aware of the program or not stepping up to access it. So we did expand our outreach. And from that, the use increased. And we went from just a trickle of about $1,500 last fall up to $11,000, which is great. That our residents were able to take advantage of $11,000 of this program. But we still have $41,000 left on the table, and the program expires in May 2022. So after meeting with Hollister and the county last Thursday, or a week ago Thursday, the county has proposed that we loosen up some of the restrictions on the funds and making the San Juan Bautista utility assistance available to all residents in the county. So they, under this proposal, they would continue to be eligible to city residents, but also to other residents who could use the money who are maybe on a waiting list. So that's the proposal tonight. That way the money stays in the region. It gets used to help our neighbors and gets used to help the people in our county. If the money were to still be existing when it expires, it could be returned to the state to be reallocated for a different county. So that's the proposal as it stands, that we would modify the existing MOU with Hollister in the county and allow the San Juan Bautista funds to be available for all county residents to access between now and May when the program expires. So that's the extent of my report, Mayor, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments from the public?
No, Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge?
Yeah, I just have one question. So this means that it'll go out to residents who are out in the county. It can be in our area and in the Hollister area. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. It would not be limited to just San Juan Bautista.
Right, but we wouldn't lose it. We'd be able to help people that are in need.
Right, including our own neighbors. Right.
Right. Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Flores?
No comments, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
Yeah, real quick. So it's, unfortunately, I was trying to spread this word as much as possible. I know Rochelle from the library was really pushing it too, but so Don, we have $41,700 or $41,700 ballpark remaining. So I missed some of the tail in there. as of May, that'll go out of, basically it'll go into a big kitty. Is that right? But we have until May to try to get as many people in town to use that?
Absolutely. Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, because Hollister sure did a heck of a job getting the word out, because I mean, out of the $125,000 and some change, they used all but $1,000. So that's pretty impressive. Either that or we've got a lot of people here who have a lot of pride and don't want to, ask for help. Okay.
That too.
Gosh. It's a lot of money just to let go away if there's folks in town that can use it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, time to get back on the soapbox. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Councilmember Freeman?
Thank you. I just follow up on what Scott says. I really couldn't say it any better. And we're running out of time, so I'll just let it go. I too would like to use the money for San Juan residents first. And then later if the county needs it, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any, is this for residents only or businesses as well? Do we have businesses who are struggling with utilities?
It's referred to as the subsistence payment for those suffering a loss due to COVID, and it's only for residents, which is restricted to households.
This is terrible. Could we see that in a utility bill?
It was just in a utility bill.
No. I'm sorry. I owe $3,000 for not paying my water bill. I'm just throwing it out there. Was that the CARES Act, or there was a, oh, this is the CARES Act. Was that covered under something else? Like the water bill?
At ARP?
Yeah.
The American Rescue Plan? We had an arrears, we had.
The
Water board.
arrearages, yeah.
Collect money for, right, and that was just for water. This is for all utilities, so this could include PG&E, this could include cable, trash. It could include all the utilities.
Oh,
Okay.
So yes, you're right. I think I mentioned in my mid-year report last month that we received about $54,000 in CARES Act money from the water board to pay for people just for water bills who haven't paid their water bills. So yeah, you're right. The two programs kind of knock heads, but it doesn't account for water and it doesn't account for the other utilities.
Okay. So here we are faced with giving, no offense to Hollister, but giving Hollister our money again. How do we get this out to our folks?
The county's been here every Thursday for 3 hours in the afternoon. It's a library, and that's what Rochelle's been promoting.
Yeah.
And that had a big impact over the holidays, and we had the number of applicants increase, but it seems to have leveled off. That's why we're here tonight, because we're concerned that we're not going to use it all.
Said I wasn't going to do math tonight. Okay, that doesn't help. Okay. I have nothing. Yeah. Does this go for Aromas as well? I saw Aromas listed in there.
San Benito
Somewhere?
County, Aromas is in 3 different counties, so the San Benito County portion.
Okay. Go ahead, Mary.
is there any way that we could offer it to businesses?
No.
No?
No,
No,
this is HUD money. This is housing and urban development money.
Okay,
to
so,
help with
so,
the-
all right, all right,
yep,
okay. All right, well,
no, okay,
no,
so, all right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Cesar and John. May I have a roll call vote, please? Ooh, I feel like Peter
Yes.
Brady.
Councilmember Edge,
yes,
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Freels,
I'm saying yes to give money back to, oh, man. Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Unfortunately, yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes,
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
and it's not to not give money back where we can't use it at all. Yeah. Okay, 6G, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista establishing a COVID-19 sick leave program and authorize the city manager to approve up to 80 hours of sick leave for COVID-19 related illnesses. Take it away, city manager.
There we go. Okay, right, so state and federal lawmakers last week considered establishing a 2-week or 80-hour leave allowance. The state had established one in 2020 and it expired in September. And they looked to reestablish it just last week in the height of the COVID Omicron outbreak. That would only apply to businesses with 100 or more employees. So it wouldn't necessarily apply to us, but I'll have to share with you that in the city managers group meeting in January, some of the cities reported 10% of their staff off duty due to COVID-19, and all of them were vaccinated. So a lot of the cities in our region have been talking about this and have been taking action, and several of the city managers, Seaside included, granted their city manager the authority to grant up to 80 hours of leave benefit for someone who is ill or taking care of someone who is ill due to COVID-19. And so we thought we'd bring this forward. We did have one employee in this position, and it seemed like the trend and the fair thing to do in light of the contagious nature of the COVID virus. So we're here tonight asking the council for a special leave benefit applicable to those who are absent due to COVID. And that's staff's report.
Thank you very much. Public comment?
There are no hands raised, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Council members. Councilmember Ed.
well, I really don't have any questions. I mean, as long, all our employees, I don't know if we have all of our employees that are all vaccinated, but this applies to everybody, right?
Yes,
Vaccinated or not?
sure, yes.
Okay, all right. And then if somebody gets a family member, say a child that gets sick, then the employee is allowed to be off up to 80 hours to
Yes.
take care of their child.
And that is consistent with our current sick leave policy that a guardian can use their own sick leave to take care of a loved one. Yes. So it's consistent with Rule 10 in Section 2 of our personnel policies.
Okay, all right. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores.
I think it's a great idea and it's about time.
Thank you. Councilmember Freels.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman.
Yes, thank you. I think COVID is going to be with us for a long, long time. Hopefully it'll be in a very low or depressed state after this Omicron goes away, but you can't ever say ever. So I think we need a policy, and I think it's the right thing to do, and we should just move on, pass it and move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are clear guidelines, proof of testing, 10 days test again or whatever before you can come back, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Thank
they're all
you.
outlined in our COVID prevention plan as well.
Okay. I'm all for it. I work for a very small company and we have it. I'll entertain a motion to adopt a resolution.
I'd like to make a motion that we establish a COVID-19 sick leave policy of up to 80 hours for employees absent due to exposure to COVID-19.
I second the motion.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes,
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Discussion items.
So I have about 7 slides and could do a nice 20-minute discussion on our strategic plan. But I'm thinking we would let the sheriff and fire department speak and then continue this item maybe to a special meeting, for example, Tuesday, March 8th. We've spent an hour and a half, 90 minutes just focused on the strategic plan and updating it. It is part of my slideshow, which we can make present. Public, of course, it's public for everyone to see. But in an effort to get our meeting wrapped up in 10 minutes, that's my recommendation for our strategic plan tonight. And I don't know if Chief Martin Del Campo and Lieutenant Urena would like to speak to this since they're here and since they hung out for 3 hours.
Unbelievable.
And then we can consider this item on its own in a later meeting.
Perfect. Very much. Very good. Thank you very much. Welcome. Sorry. Welcome, Chief Martin Del Campo. Hey.
Welcome. Thank you. Appreciate the invitation. If it pleases the mayor and council, I can come back with the next special meeting and present the annual report. If you're familiar with what I put out for the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee, it's the same thing. However, I did add a couple of slides for the way ahead, and it's your discretion because it is 17. Well, it's 20 slides now, and I'm cognizant of the time and the effort you guys are putting into this meeting.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it and apologize for the 3 hours sitting around waiting to say nothing.
No apology necessary. I understand.
Thank you. Lieutenant Urena.
First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm the newest lieutenant at the sheriff's office. I'm in charge of the community and support services. And I'm really excited to let you guys know that we're going to be joining forces with LULAC and Mickey Luna with the Adelante program. We're going to have some of our guys here at the sheriff's office basically go to the high schools and talk to the high schoolers and get them to try to become leaders in our communities. The second program that we're going to start is called Agua con los Chotas, which translates to water with the cops. This program was started by the Watsonville Police Department and Chief George Zamora. Sheriff Taylor was really good friends, or is really good friends with George Zamora, so he was able to let us use the program here in San Bernardino County. Basically, the program will allow us to go to the fields and talk to the farm worker community and dialogue with them. And we're going to take them waters and snacks, and we're going to start a conversation with them about the issues they want to bring up. And then we're going to dialogue, and it's going to be in 3 parts. So I'm really happy for that because a lot of our community there's a lot of farm workers. So I'm really happy to start that. And then I know that we're trying to get our staffing levels back up, and hopefully in the near future, we can get a deputy there in San Juan Bautista. We're close to getting there, so hopefully within the next couple of months, we can have a full-time deputy there. I want to thank the level 1 security, because they're really helpful when we go out there. They'll give us information. They'll provide us with issues that are going on in San Juan Bautista, and in the long run, it helps us solve crimes. As of now, we have a deputy that's his area is San Juan Bautista. So if you have any issues, you can contact him. His name is Desi Villanueva. But obviously, if there's any crime occurring and he's not working, you can always call the sheriff's office, and we're willing to go out there. I wish I had more time to bring up more things, but hopefully next meeting I can continue with that. So it was nice meeting you guys, and I hope to have a good relationship with you guys. And I'm here, whatever you guys need. You guys have my email. You guys can contact me, and I'm real happy to be here.
Can you show your face?
Yes, I'll show my face. How do you? I'm not good with computers. How do you? Let me see. Oh, right here.
Lower left.
Oh, there you go.
Hi. Welcome.
Who you are?
Just want to confirm your phone number in case there's an emergency. Morning, noon, night, middle of the night, early morning, any time of the day is what? 911?
911.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice meeting
Any
you guys.
time of day, you can call the sheriff's department.
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate you hanging out this long and look forward to seeing you coming to a meeting near us soon.
Yes, hopefully.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Okay.
We can try and put something together for March 8th, Mayor, if that works for everybody. I'll pull the council and find a date that works, a Tuesday at 6.
That's perfect. Motion to hold over item 7, 8, and 9, and just 7, 8, and 9, a special meeting.
So moved.
Thank you very much. May I
And
have a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
All the members of the council being present, the motion is stated by the maker passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Deb, wow. See ya, man.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Deb. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Trish.
Be
Thank
safe.
you.